All right, this is Math 7, Chapter 4, Lesson 2, some homework help here. Again, just going to go over a few of these today. The last one I went over quite a few, but just recall that back here in the back of your book, if you're not quite sure in the back, you can find selected answers for a lot of the problems that you're being assigned, so it depends on what your teacher's assigning to you. So for example, today, what you'll notice here is that right here, this is page 275 and 276, which is the page we're going to start on when we start looking at the work here. This is page 275. The odd answers are already here. Now the key is, of course, you have to show your work. So what I'm going to do in the upcoming videos is I'll just continue to do the even numbers for you. That way you can do the odd ones on your own. You know the answers, you can check them there, but you can see how I work them out. Alright? So let's look at the even ones starting here, number 2. It says to use the number line to decide which one's greater than or less than, which one's basically the largest one, which is smaller. So we're looking at a negative number, which is a little tricky. So with a negative number, I have to think a little different here. I'm going to go backwards. This is negative 8, and this is negative 7. Now from negative 8 to negative 7, I'm going to break this into chunks of 8, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that is 8. So be careful there. Right, this is 1/8 all the way up to 7/8, and then of course the number I'm looking at here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 is here. All right, so I have to do a little number line and kind of map this out for you. Because zeros over here, this is my big numbers are over here, and my small numbers are over here because I'm going towards 0. So negative 7 is larger than negative 8. So be careful about that part there. And number 2, the whole numbers are the same, so I don't really worry about them. I'm really just comparing the fraction parts, the 5/8, negative 5/8, and the negative 1/8. Well, negative 1/8 is here, and negative 5/8 is here. Which one is closer to 0? We would say this one is. And so in this case here, we would say that 7 and 1/8, negative 7 and 8, is greater than the other one. The other method you might want to consider looking at how you solve this here, I'm not sure if your teacher showed you this or not, but you may have learned it back in 5th or 6th grade, would be to take a look at the fractions themselves and do some cross multiplication. Right? I could do 5/8 and I could do the 1/8, and if I cross multiply, I do 8 times 5 is 40, 8 times 1 is 8. Now these are negative numbers, right? So which one is the greatest number is the negative 8. And that will always work there as well. So you don't have to have a common denominator, you just multiply straight across. Let's look at number 4. For number 4, what they're wanting you to do is to make sure you put things with a common denominator. Well, this one starts with 24, and to get to 24 from 12, I multiply by 2. So 12 times 2 is 24, 11 times 2 is 22. So really what I'm comparing in number 4 is negative 17 over 24 compared to negative 22 over 24. Now remember, these are negative, so you got to think a little differently. If it wasn't negative, I would just go, oh, 22 is greater than 24. Yay, that's great. But because it's negative, I have to think backwards. And so in actuality, negative 17 is greater than negative 22. Remember, this is because it's negative. That's why that's a little different there, kind of like the first ones up here. Number 6, it says to order the numbers from least to greatest, okay? And so we have the numbers written here, but they're in different forms. We have decimal, percent, and a fraction. I could convert them all to a decimal, would be easy. I could convert them as a fraction, but that may be more difficult, hard to say. I'm going to go with the decimal form. So I know that 0.23 becomes 0.23. Okay, this is probably a number line for me to do things on, but I know that just stays 0.23. 19%. To do a 19% and turn it into a decimal, I move the decimal over 2 spaces from the percent to make it into a decimal. So the 19% becomes hop 0.19. The 1/5 though, I do 1 divided by 5, and 5 goes into 1 0 times, 5 goes into 10 2 times, and we have nothing remaining. So my choices here is I have a 0.2, and I can put a 0 just to make it a little nicer here. I have 0.19, 0.20, and 0.23. So on a number line, if here's 0 and here's 1, right, just give me an idea here, 0.19 would come first, followed by 0.20, followed by 0.23. And that's the order those things would fall as a decimal. So if I rewrite that then to say which one comes first or second, well, the 0.19 is the 19%. The next one, at 0.20, is my 1/5. And the last one is my existing decimal, 0.23. So I just put them back into the form they started in to put them in order. So if you want to convert them to something similar that you can compare, whether it be all decimals or all fractions, that's up to you. Number 8. Liberty Middle School is holding a fundraiser. The 6th graders have raised 52% of their goal amount. The 7th and 8th graders have raised 0.57 and 2/5 of their goal amounts, respectively. So that means that what I'm looking at here, here's 6, here's 7th, here's 8th. 6th grade has 52%. 7th grade, when it says respectively, 7th grade is the 0.57 and 8th grade is the 2/5. So this is just like the last problem we did. I want to put these into a similar form, probably a decimal, so I can compare them. Okay? List the classes in order from least to greatest of their goal amounts. So to convert the percent, I'm going to hop over 2 spots and turn that into 0.52. To turn this one into a decimal, I can do division, and I can do 2 divided by 5, right? And put a decimal point there, and 0 decimal point. And 5 goes into 24 times evenly, so I have 0.40. So now to put them in order, my order would be the least amount is 0.40, which happens to be my 8th grade, right? My next least amount is 0.52, which happens to be my 6th grade. And the last one is my 0.57, my 7th grade. So congratulations, this is a 7th grade book, so they made you the winners. Way to go. All right. Next, I want to use greater than less than to figure out which one is true on this one here. I have one as a fraction, one as a decimal. Okay? Up to you how you want to do that there. I'm going to go ahead and say, well, they both have a 2, so I'm going to choose to ignore the 2. Okay? Because that's the same. So really I'm comparing a 5/6 to a 0.8. 0.8 can be rewritten as 8 over 10, because that's a tenth. My strategy is to multiply diagonally and say 10 times 5 is 50, and I write it above, and 6 times 8 is 48, and I write it above. 50 is greater than 48, so I'm going to solve my answer like so. That's the way I solve that there. Alright, let's look at the next page. Page 12, or page 276. Alright, identify the ratio that does not have the same value as the other 3. So we're going to put this into a fraction form as the idea. So this first one we have 12 out of 15. Okay, not sure. This one we have 800ths. So that's 8 out of 100. Here we have 80%, so decimal moves over, becomes 0.80. But that's also going to be 8 out of, not out of 100, but out of 10. Okay. And over here we have 4 out of 5. So one of these doesn't match the other one. Alright. Not sure which one's going to be quite yet, but I'm going to guess, looking at what I have to work with, probably one of these two is the one that doesn't match. Just taking a guess at that. If I compare these ones, for example, 4 times 2 does give me 8, as 5 times 2 gives me 8 as well. I also can do 4 times 3 to get 12, and 5 times 3 gives me 15. That tells me that these fractions here are equivalent. They are the same. This one, I can't get that one to work with anything else. It's not equivalent. I can't multiply by a common number, top and bottom, to get the same thing. So this is the ratio that does not have the same value. Okay? So I just made them all into fractions and then compared. What can I multiply across to make them the same? Number 14. Are the fractions 5, 6, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8 arranged in order from least to greatest? Explain your thinking. Okay. So think this through a little bit. Alright? So this is 5 out of 6 pieces. I like to think about it like pi or something like that, right? So if I have 4 pies here, 1, 2, 3, 4. On this first one, the pie is cut into 6 pieces. Okay? So I go like this, and I go like this, and like this, and I'm going to be able to eat 5 of the 6 pieces. Okay? The next one, hard to draw this one, is cut into 7 pieces. I don't know if that's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, amazing. Alright, and so I'm going to shade that in, and I get just a slightly little bit less piece. All right. The next one I have 5/8. So here's what an eighth looks like. Okay. So now I'm going to get even. Oh, sorry, I was doing more than 5 last time. Sorry about that. So this should be looking more like this. I did 6. Right. Here I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm getting less and less of the pi. And my last one here, it's going to be really hard to write. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So drawing 8 lines gives me 9. And I'm going to get 5 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So those in order from least to greatest. You were thinking about, I get the least amount of pi, the most amount of pi? Nope, it's actually opposite. So this is my least, and this one is actually my greatest over here. So they're actually all flipped. So that's how I think about like pi. I could do compare and contrast, and that would get me what I needed as well. Okay? So we'll stop there for now. Hope that helps you out a little bit with some of your homework.